Welcome back to another episode of ROC Boys Football Emergency Podcast. The Buffalo Bills go out and sign Von Miller to a 6-year, $120 million contract. On the heels of that, we get news that O.J. Howard is also signing a 1-year contract to come to Buffalo. This is what the ROC Boys, what we as Buffalo Bills fans kind of been wanting. It seems like the key to getting over the hump and winning Super Bowl, beating the Chiefs, is getting after the passer. You look at teams who are able to do so, the Bengals, the Rams, the Bucs. They all can get after the passer. Kind of been an Achilles heel for the Buffalo Bills. Before we get into that, we appreciate you guys' support on all the videos. Like and subscribe to the channel if you guys like the content. And let's get into a 2022 NFL mock draft for the Buffalo Bills. A lot of mocks have the Bills going out and getting an edge defender with that 25th overall pick. We've put a lot of capital into the edge rusher position, especially draft capital. AJ Epinesa, Boogie Basham, Greg Rousseau, all young guys who haven't necessarily showed that they are capable of being an elite pass rusher. And this is kind of what we were talking about. Go get somebody who's shown they can do it at a high level. Von Miller's been one of the best edge rushers that we've seen in the league. Yes, he's 33 years old, I believe. So the 6-year contract seems like it's a long time for Von Miller to get a contract when he's that old. He's still a great player. The Bills have a clear Super Bowl window to make it happen. And so I like the get. It's a lot of money, but it's kind of the cost. Look at the Rams. You kind of have to break the bank if you want to go win a Super Bowl. Let's start this mock draft up kind of knowing we don't need to go get an edge rusher. I think cornerback now flips to the biggest concern. We kind of filled up that cap space with Von Miller, so it doesn't look like we'll get a huge splash free agent corner, but you can mask a lot of weak cornerbacks with a strong pass rush. Let's see what damage we can do, maybe bolstering up that cornerback position with this first pick. Again, it might be slim pickings. Kaiir Elam is the number one cornerback available. We both really like Roger McCreary in terms of being like a man coverage cornerback. Kaiir Elam is probably the most enticing here. He's kind of like the best of the tier 1 guys. I think Andrew Booth, obviously Trent McDuffie, Sauce Gardner, Derek Stingley Jr. are kind of some of the top dogs. But Kaiir Elam is also very good. He played very good football in the SEC. He's long, but he also has very good speed. I don't know if it's fair to say the Bills have pigeonholed themselves into drafting a cornerback, but they kind of have pigeonholed themselves a little bit. I think you need to really address this cornerback position. I also think like it's not crazy to look at the best available, and you have Devontae Wyatt on the board. I think Kaiir Elam has to be the pick. You need to go get some talent because as good as that pass rush might be, you need to be able to cover wide receivers. Dane Jackson, not really cutting it. Obviously, Levi Wallace has gone to the Pittsburgh Steelers. We weren't able to get him back. I think you just need to go cornerback. Specifically in that first round because it definitely falls off a little bit. Nick Bonitto, post or pre-Von Miller signing, I think would be a great fit. He is one of the best pure edge rushers in the class. I don't know if you need to get him now. Again, the Bills have spent a significant amount of draft capital trying to figure out that edge position. Sean McDermott, Brandon Beane, they've shown that they really like those heavy-handed, bigger edge guys who kind of go right through tackles as opposed to bend around them. Nick Bonitto is more of a bend-around guy. Von Miller is more of a bend-around guy. But previously, guys like Mario Addison, AJ Epinesa, Boogie Basham, those guys are more less bend. They'll go right through you. We kind of now have a good mixture, and I don't even hate like Leo Chenal. I think he can be a phenomenal blitzing linebacker. I don't hate Darian Kennard here, especially playing him at guard, but we've kind of addressed that position as well. Jamari Salyer, kind of in a similar vein. I think Christian Watson's an interesting guy to talk about. I do like Martin Emerson. I think if the Bills don't end up going cornerback in the first round, a guy like Martin Emerson, maybe a guy like Roger McCreary Fells, I think that those both could be really good options. And Perrion Winfrey, if you talk about getting after the passer, Perrion Winfrey can do it. One of the best interior pass rushers available in the draft, purely in the draft, especially available in the second round. I also really like what you can do with Leo Chanel. He's tested for a 250 plus pound linebacker. He moves at an incredibly high level. Gets downhill, gets in the backfield a lot, tackles for loss, sacks. He was kind of lighting it up on Wisconsin. I really like this prospect. I know PFF really likes the prospect. I think you certainly could go get Leo Chanel here. Tremaine, I mean, you got Matt Milano back, but Tremaine Edmonds is a lot of question marks. Like Tremaine Edmonds is young, but I feel like we've been saying that he's young for a very long time. My biggest problem about Tremaine Edmonds is he doesn't really get downhill. Leo Chanel gets downhill. He gets in the backfield. He had 18 and a half tackles for a loss this year, also 120 tackles on the whole year. And I believe he also tagged along 8.5 sacks. So this guy is a negative play machine. And that's really the key to getting stops on defense. The Bills have shown they can really score at will. I mean, this is one of the best offenses in football. You don't really need to go out and get a ton of weapons for Josh Allen. I think this draft needs to be predicated on getting guys who can make plays for this ball club. I think Leo Chanel's that guy. I know a lot of people aren't that high on Leo Chanel, but I feel like it's a lot of like people haven't gotten to the tape of Leo Chanel. Like he moves really well. I think you just kind of assume 255-pound linebacker from Wisconsin, probably not a good athlete. He's got a great 3-cone drill. He's got a great 40. He's got a great get. He almost looks like he should be playing edge rusher. And the success that Micah Parsons had at Dallas, rushing the passer with that strength and speed, I think Leo Chanel brings a decent amount of that. I mean, the dude put up 35 on the bench press, like extremely powerful hands too. I think you can do a lot with him. And again, a guy that if Tremaine Edmonds isn't the dude, like Leo Chanel certainly can be. Christian Watson's an interesting pick. I think with the emergence of Gabe Davis, so now you got Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis. You signed Isaiah McKenzie back, who I love. I've been beating the drum for Isaiah McKenzie for a very long time. I think he's a good player who deserves more touches in general. I think people just view him as a gadget guy. I think he can do a lot more than that. So I was very happy to see him get signed back with the Buffalo Bills. James Cook's an interesting guy. J.D. McKissic obviously ended up going back to the Commanders. I think the Bills could use a running back who's pretty versatile. I think I've accepted the fact that the Bills aren't going to be a run-heavy team. We're not going to have a successful run game. And that's okay. You can have a good offense without necessarily running the ball a ton. I think when it bites you in the butt is when you're just scoring so fast. Like in the playoff game against the Chiefs, like you kind of wish you could sustain drives more, keep the ball out of Pat Mahomes' hands more by running the football. I just don't know if James Cook's the guy to really make that happen. I think there's a decent amount of running backs who can kind of be more of a ground and pound back that the Bills might be looking for. This is not a bad range. I mean, James Cook's more of a utility guy. He got used outside the tackle box, swing passes, different ways like that. Darian Beavers, if we didn't get Leo Chanel, I really like. I like Dameon Pierce too. Christian Watson might just be the move there. I don't see him falling that low. I think people are talking about taking Christian Watson with the 32 pick for the Detroit Lions. At 6'4", the movement skills that he has is incredible. He's silky smooth for a guy being 6'4". Again, the emergence of Gabe Davis kind of pushes me away. Like I think Gabe Davis can be a stud. He kind of had a coming out party against the Chiefs, and he played really good down the stretch for the Buffalo Bills. So I'm not gonna pound the table for him, but I think he's a really, really good option there. I want to look at the interior defensive line. We kind of missed out. I think it's really this is a very top heavy class. Guys like Devontae Wyatt, Jordan Davis, Travis Jones, Perrin Winfrey are all guys that I really like. And quite frankly, thinking about it again, maybe you go Perrin Winfrey in the second round, and then you can start looking at these linebackers because it is a deep, deep linebacker class. I'd be very happy with a Darian Beavers pick, a Malcolm Rodriguez pick. Maybe it's James Cook. Is James Cook? I was having this conversation. It could be James Cook here. I just don't know if you have a great roster there in Buffalo. Yeah, we'll go James Cook. Give us somebody who's a utility guy. You can get the ball in his hands. Just Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, they don't really have the juice. I think James Cook has the juice. It means to say that he is very, very smooth, making people miss in space. He's elite at it. Honestly, moves like his brother Dalvin Cook a lot. He doesn't necessarily have like the ground and pound like the Zamir White did it at the Georgia backfield. Okay, I think it's time to get Christian Watson. Again, I don't think Christian Watson falls to pick 130. If he's there, a guy with the traits that he has, I think you have to fire on. Um, you can never have too many offensive weapons. Load up with James Cook, Christian Watson. Like it's hard to see that offense not being good. It's hard. You could leave that offense how it is. It's hard to see them not being good, especially after getting OJ Howard. You got Malcolm Rodriguez. You guys know I like Malcolm Rodriguez a lot. Jelani Woods. If the Bills did not sign OJ Howard, Jelani Woods would be a great pick. 6'7" monster. Cam Jurgens, he could be a guy that, I mean, when Mitch Morse is on his way out, he would be a very interesting pick. Let's check this defensive line because there are some gems. Adam Anderson, a guy that is a first round talent that's in some legal trouble. I think we're just going to leave him. Again, I don't know if I want to use a draft pick on a guy that is pending allegations for rape. Pretty significant allegations that you might just not want to touch him until that all gets figured out through the legal system. No, my brother's a huge fan of Trey Williams. Don't hate taking a look at the interior defensive line as well. Big bully Marquand McCall. He's a dog. Again, I think the time to get, if you want to get an impact guy on the interior defensive line, I think it's in the first 50 picks with the Travis Jones, Perrin, Winfrey, Devontae Wyatt, Jordan Davis. I don't know if guys with much value are going to be available there. I want to check one more position, and that's safety. And this is more now we're looking at potential special teams guys like JT Woods, Brad Hawkins played some really good football. You got the best pair of safeties, in my opinion, with Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde. But when you're the Bills and looking to go on a 10-year dynasty-like run, you got to start thinking about where you can get more talent kind of in the chamber. I don't know if I love any of those guys there. Got James Cook. This would be another interesting, like getting the running backs going now. Do we like any offensive tackles here? I think we're going to go end up getting JT Woods, who's an absolute flyer. And at the very least, he's going to be a great gunner. He's got significant speed, extremely fast guy. All those Baylor guys fly around the field. And at the end of the day, speed is a very important part. Marcus Jones still on the board. I think he could be a very interesting pick as well. Cam Jurgens has been dubbed, and I haven't gotten a ton of film on him. He's like the knockoff version of Tyler Linderbaum, a little bit undersized, but a phenomenal athlete. Knows how to use his leverage. He's great with the reach blocks. I think Cam Jurgens could be the pick here too. And this is probably more of just the best available pick. Cam Jurgens, probably one of the better prospects available at this pick. You go out and get him. Again, the Bills are now just trying to figure out how we can get some guys, some talent in the locker room. Big bully Marquand McCall. This guy's an absolute massive human being. And when it comes to like two gapping, stopping the run, I think he'll take a look at this guy. He goes 6'3", 380 pounds. He's an absolute bowling ball. Big stomach, big butt. He's a guy that like in 3rd and 1s or on 1st and 10 when you kind of know they're running the ball. Like, he's going to be a good guy to kind of take on 2 blocks and let your linebackers go to work. I think at the 6th round, that's probably fair for him. And my biggest thing about not picking Jordan Davis in the top 20 is Jordan Davis kind of reminds me of the same thing. He's a guy that I'm going to take on double teams and I'm not going to let interior offensive linemen work up to the linebackers. We see Adam Anderson finally off the board. He's an interesting guy to monitor. You got Matt Ariza, the punt god. I think you could certainly go with him. You got some flyers here. Danny Gray, Tyquan Thornton, Bo Mellon, all kind of gadget flyer guys. I don't know if we need any more of that, especially with signing Isaiah McKenzie back. Jerry on Ely, if we don't go James Cook, could give you some good work. And Cade Mays is an interesting prospect too. He was a 5-star coming out of high school, goes to Georgia, has some trouble there in general. He moves to Tennessee and it just hasn't really been the same. I think that's probably fair to say. DJ Dale, Austin Coolis. We're going to go get Cade Mays, a guy that he has the traits. Those guys who rank high schoolers, they're not normally wrong. Like the 5-stars have the traits. He just didn't. I think him moving to different programs kind of stunted his development. They moved him around a little bit on the offensive line there at Tennessee. Very similar to Trey Smith, who the Chiefs got in the 5th round, and Trey Smith was awesome for the Chiefs. Like Cade Mays has the ability to be good. I think that's where you're getting a guy who can kind of make it happen. Here we got 231. If you want to take a shot at the punt guy, you could. He is exciting, to say the least. He just bombs punts. He's really impressive. Is it time to think about a backup quarterback? It kind of makes me sad. If I were going backup quarterback, it'd be E.J. Perry from Brown. I've only seen his highlights. I'm not digging through Brown film or anything. He's Colt McCoy. Like, he's extremely crafty. And if Josh Allen, because we like to run the ball a lot with him as much as it frustrates me, gets banged up, like we had Mitch Trubisky waiting, who would have been a great backup. Now he's in Pittsburgh. E.J. Perry is a guy that he can go win you a football game, kind of like Taylor Heineke. It's not going to be pretty, but he runs a 4.6. Like, he's a good mover. He can move the chains with his feet, kind of like a guy who can grind out a win or two if Josh Allen gets banged up. Brown kid, too. Must be smart. I don't know if he's smart, but he's probably smart if he's going to Brown. Jack Cohen in a very similar way. Not quite the athlete that E.J. Perry is, but he's going to be a great QB2 in the league. Kalen Barnes, he's a flyer. I'll go get Kalen Barnes. Like, speed plays. Like, when you're fast, it makes the game easier. Kalen Barnes is extremely fast. A little bit tight. I don't think his change of direction is as good as his speed is, and I think that's why you're seeing him available in the 7th round. They really want me to take a punter right now, and I might just do it. I might just take Matt Araiza, the beast. I'm just at this point, you just want to find guys who are gonna make an impact on this team. Jeremiah Gemmell. We've taken a linebacker in Leo Chenal. I think Jeremiah Gemmell is another guy that you could be talking about. A guy he's extremely smart. 2 years ago, we're looking at film at Chad Surratt, a UNC linebacker, and Jeremiah Gemmell is the guy all over the football. That's kind of what you want to see out of a linebacker, a guy who's around the football all the time. Connor Hayward, he's another guy. Connor Hayward's going to go earlier than this. I like Abram Smith as well. Last pick of the draft. What do you want? I think you want a guy who's going to be able to give you some sort of special team value. That might be Jeremiah Gemmell. It might be Jeremiah Gemmell. We double up on the linebacker. A guy who's very smart. When you saw Jeremiah Gemmell lead the field for UNC's defense, the defense did not look the same. It just shows how important he is, whether it's getting guys lined up or just being a good football player. Like, he was very important to that defense. Let's see what PFF grades our draft. We're not subscribing right now. Kaiir Elam, a C+, A, C-, A+. We get a B overall for the draft, about like my grades are. I'll take it. Again, the big story of this is Von Miller. The huge splash kind of alleviates the pressure of the Bills to go get an edge guy. I still think we can boost up the interior. I kind of, looking back on this draft, maybe you go with a Perrion Winfrey at pick 57. Just because he's a guy who can get after the passer on the interior. You look at guys like Aaron Donald. It's very effective to get guys who can push the pocket. And Perrion Winfrey is a guy with great length and great athleticism. He makes guards look silly sometimes because he's just so much longer. He's so much more athletic. And then you get a big body Kaiir Elam who's got great length. He showed that he has good speed at the combine. He's not my favorite cornerback. I'd much rather get a Trent McDuffie. I'd much rather get Andrew Booth and Kaiir Elam are very similar. I think if Trent McDuffie falls to 25, he's the surefire pick. I don't know if he'll get there. Leo Chenal at pick 57. It's just he's an impact linebacker. I think Tremaine Edmonds as like solid as he is, I think that's just what he is. I think he's just solid. Leo Chenal, I think, has the potential to be somebody who kind of impacts the game a lot more than Tremaine Edmonds. You can do a lot more. Matt Milano is more the off-ball guy who can cover really well. I think Leo Chenal is a guy who can get after the passer a little bit. And then Christian Watson, the A-plus pick at 130. That's just a value play. Kind of loading up on some weapons. I think James Cook, if he goes to Buffalo, you look at what the Bills wanted to do with J.D. McKissic. They wanted to get an athlete who can catch the ball out of the backfield. You don't end up getting J.D. McKissic. Get James Cook because he can certainly do anything J.D. McKissic can. You don't have to pay him as much. You can keep him on a rookie deal. And he's younger. He's got less wear in the tires. At Georgia, they split a lot of reps with Zamir White and James Cook and a couple of other guys. So he's got a fresh guy. He moves really well. I like that pick. And then you kind of fill in some gaps with the picks outside the top 150. That's a mock, a B for PFF. I don't know if I like it. I think this is more of an A-plus mock, quite frankly. Again, thank you guys for rocking with the ROC Boys. A little Buffalo Bills talk as we celebrate the Von Miller signing. Appreciate y'all for watching. We'll talk to you guys later with some more NFL Draft content. Peace.